Hey, what's going on everybody? Jason here, and welcome back to another Vanguard Zombies video. In this video, I'm going to be ranking all of the maps in Vanguard Zombies from worst to best. There are only 4 maps in Vanguard Zombies, half of them are objective-based and half of them are round-based. This list is based off of my own personal preference and my experiences with all of the maps in Vanguard Zombies. And if there are certain things that you disagree with in this video, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. We have the First Amendment for a reason. Anyways guys, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the ranking. Coming in at the number 4 spot on my list, I have Anfang. I know this might sound kind of harsh, but what is there really to say about Anfang? There really isn't that much to talk about in this map because it's so bare bones. There's no Easter egg, there are no side Easter eggs, and it took Treyarch a couple of months to add the ray gun to this map. Anfang is as bare bones as any zombies experience can get. Also, Anfang is an objective-based map as opposed to a regular round-based map. When you teleport to each of the objectives, whether you're doing a transmit or a purge or a blitz for example, the areas in my opinion aren't really that good. I think some of the areas by themselves that you teleport to should be expanded more and they could be their own survival maps. For example, one of the multiplayer maps, Hotel Royale, is one of the maps that you teleport to during objectives, which by itself I think Hotel Royale could have been a decent survival map or maybe even a Zombies Onslaught map if they decided to put Onslaught into this game. And I think it's really unfortunate that they lock off certain areas of these maps as well during the objectives. They stop you from exploring the entirety of Hotel Royale, Shi No Numa, and the windmill area of the map. And speaking of multiplayer maps, Anfang by itself is already another multiplayer map in Vanguard, Red Star, which by itself the concept of turning multiplayer maps into zombies maps isn't actually a bad idea, but Anfang just didn't do it as well as I would have liked it to. And mainly because this is an objective-based map as opposed to a round-based map. They did end up adding a pseudo round base to Anfang later on down the line called the Void, where you get to teleport to Shi No Numa. And when you get to Shi No Numa, you get to experience a sort of round-based experience. And even then, you can't even explore the entirety of Shi No Numa. You are confined to the main building of Shi No Numa. Overall, I think Anfang really isn't that great, and it comes in at number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3, I have Terra Maledicta. Terra Maledicta is an improvement over Anfang when it comes to objective-based maps, but not by much. Yes, Terra Maledicta has an Easter egg, side quest, and a unique wonder weapon, but at the same time, Terra Maledicta still follows the same formula as Anfang. And that same formula is the objective-based formula. And when it comes to the Easter egg, Terra Maledicta's Easter egg is very basic. The majority of the Easter egg is you obtaining the Decimator shield, and then you have to go to the Void, which in this map is the Dark Ether, and you have to obtain the Tome of Rituals page. It's nothing extravagant, but it does give you decent rewards when you finish the Easter egg. And the main reward that you get for beating the Easter egg is upgrading your weapon 1 Pack-a-Punch tier. And then you get some loot chests, some salvage, some of the weapons come from the loot boxes, but the main reward is the Pack-a-Punch tier. The side quests on Terra Maledicta are also very basic. You have the free loot box Easter egg, which is okay, I guess. It's definitely a watered-down version of the Dancing Coffin Easter egg from Black Ops Cold War, but it does have a chance to give you some decent loot if you're lucky. You also have the free Death Machine side quest, which can also double as the free Ray Gun side quest if you're lucky. But other than that, that's all that Terra Maledicta basically is. And back to what we were talking about earlier with the multiplayer maps in Anfang, the main hub of Terra Maledicta in the Eastern Desert is the multiplayer map Oasis. When you go into objectives on Terra Maledicta, the locales are definitely improved from Anfang. You have the other parts of the Eastern Desert, you have the big hall that you get transported to, and of course the Dark Ether itself, which the Dark Ether is the coolest locale in Vanguard Zombies. I don't care if I'm playing objective-based or round-based, the Dark Ether is really cool. But to sum it all up, Terra Maledicta has a leg up on Anfang because of the better locales that you do the objectives in, it has an Easter egg, a unique wonder weapon, and a couple of side quests. And that's why Terra Maledicta comes in at the number 3 spot. And moving on to number 2 on my list, I have the most recent map that was added to Vanguard Zombies, the Archon. This map is a bittersweet experience to me. Back when Terra Maledicta first came out, myself and a bunch of other people in the community thought it would be cool to see how Terra Maledicta would play out as a round-based map. And you know the old saying, be careful what you wish for, because that's exactly what the Archon is. It's the same locale, the same areas as Terra Maledicta, but instead of objective-based, it's round-based, which is already an improvement over Terra Maledicta because I personally like the round-based experiences more than the objective-based experiences, and to be totally honest with you guys, this is what Terra Maledicta should have been. However, this map was made for one reason and one reason only: the Cortifex boss fight. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually like the Easter egg on the Archon. I think it has challenging parts to it, and when you get to the Dark Aether to fight Cortifex, I think it's a fun boss fight. However, that's the only reason why this map exists. The map doesn't have any extra substance to it. Sure, this map is an improvement over its identical twin Terra Maledicta, but at the same time, the Easter egg is the only thing propping it up, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, the map doesn't have any extra substance to it. And the concept of turning an objective-based map into a round-based map is a good idea because that is what the community wanted. And the locale of the Eastern Desert plays better as a round-based map rather than an objective-based map. So when I criticize the Archon, don't get me wrong, I think this is a better map than Terra Maledicta. And yes, I know the maps are basically the same when it comes to its locale in the Eastern Desert, but the Archon has a green tint to it, but I think that the round-based iteration of this particular locale plays better than the objective-based one. And they also play differently too, because one is objective-based and one is regular round-based. And look, I know we all would have preferred a completely original location and a completely original map for the finale of Vanguard Zombies, but what are you gonna do? Unfortunately, Treyarch was not able to do that. And I know, it's because of the time constraints and Treyarch didn't have the proper time to work on this map and to make it as good as it could be, but, you know, at the same time, I'm just calling it out as it is, and this is the product that we got. And speaking about Treyarch not having enough time to develop this map, the one majorly disappointing thing about the Archon is that there is no Easter egg ending cutscene. This is supposed to be the finale to Vanguard Zombies. Where is the epic cutscene that ties this into Black Ops Cold War? And again, I know it's because of the time constraints, but it would have been really cool to see. You get done with this grandiose boss fight, it's an epic moment, Cortifex falls to the bottom of the Dark Aether, and then nothing happens. It's very underwhelming, and it really makes me sad that the finale to Vanguard Zombies did not get a proper ending. Because overall, I think the one shining spot about Vanguard Zombies, regardless of what you think about the gameplay, is the story. Because I think Vanguard Zombies adds a lot of lore and world building to the Dark Aether story, which is exemplified by the main antagonist of this game, Cortifex. And of course, you have the other supporting characters like Gabriel Kraft and Oberführer Wolfram von List and all the other Dark Aether entities. And it makes me really sad that a map that introduced us to the true power of the construct, this primordial object that has its own sentience that quite possibly could be the catalyst of life itself, not have the satisfying conclusion that we all need. Look, the Archon is fun to play, the Decimator shield on this map is really powerful, and the Wunderwaffe makes another appearance in this map. And speaking of the Wunderwaffe and the Easter egg, when you defeat Cortifex, that is actually one of the rewards that you get. You get a free Wunderwaffe. In addition, your perks get upgraded by 1 tier, assuming that your perks aren't already maxed out, and you also get a handful of sacrificial hearts. So I think the in-game reward for completing the Easter egg in the Archon is actually great. However, the biggest reward of them all, being the ending cutscene, is nowhere to be seen. So as you guys can see, there is the good and there is the bad of the Archon. And personally, I think Treyarch did the best that they could to turn nothing into something for the Archon. It's just a bittersweet, unfortunate end to the Dark Aether storyline in Vanguard Zombies. And those are the reasons as to why the Archon comes in at the number 2 spot. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot on my list, a fan favorite map remastered for Vanguard Zombies, Shi No Numa. Shi No Numa in Vanguard Zombies is quite possibly the best iteration of Shi No Numa that we've received. Because in the previous iterations of Shi No Numa, we didn't get an Easter egg, we didn't get a boss fight, and we didn't have as many side quests as we do now. The world building and the extra lore that Shi No Numa adds to the Dark Aether storyline is quite fascinating actually. Not only do we have confirmation that the Chaos storyline is potentially canon in the Dark Aether storyline, but we also get a little bit of backstory and some insight as to what really happened in the past with these Dark Aether entities. We find out that Syraxis used to be Cortifex's wife and that they had a child together. And I've seen a lot of people in the community speculate as to who this child is, and I think this is going to be a plot point that is explored more in the sequel to Black Ops Cold War. We also learn about Cortifex's ambitions with the Construct, but not only that, at the end of the Easter egg, we put back together the bronze mirror, and the bronze mirror looks very similar to a sentinel artifact. And for those of you who don't know, the sentinel artifact is a thing from Black Ops 4 Zombies, and when the sentinel artifact is activated, it turns people into zombies. However, with Shi No Numa, it seems like we have gotten confirmation that certain sentinel artifacts possess different powers than the ones that we've seen back in Black Ops 4. And again, this is all assuming that the bronze mirror in Shi No Numa is a sentinel artifact, but come on, it looks almost identical to one. That cannot be a coincidence. Shi No Numa also has a quest for you to obtain the Wonder Waff, and I think the quest you do to get the Wonder Waff is pretty cool, but Shi No Numa also brings back some fan favorite side Easter eggs. For example, the music Easter egg for The One, and then you also have the Samantha Maxis doll quest that gives you a max ammo at the end of it. And yes, I know, some of these side Easter eggs are copy-paste from Zombies Chronicles, but at the same time, it's pretty cool to see them in this iteration of Shi No Numa as well. But of course, these are just the side Easter eggs. The main Easter egg of Shi No Numa is also fun to play. You have some very unique steps that all culminates in a boss fight with a memory reflection of Syraxis called the Echo. And I think that's a pretty cool concept for a boss fight, and the boss fight itself is also fun to play. And of course, at the end of the day, it's classic Shi No Numa, but they also added a brand new area. The dig site is a welcome addition to Shi No Numa, and I think it's a pretty good place to hoard up zombies. And of course, the rest of Shi No Numa is Shi No Numa. The classic flogger makes another appearance, the electric traps, and all of the areas that we've known and loved from the previous iterations of Shi No Numa are back in this iteration. Overall, Shi No Numa makes me personally optimistic about how Treyarch is going to approach making zombies in the future. I think they did a really good job with Shi No Numa in this game, and like I said earlier, I think this is the best iteration of Shi No Numa that we've received. Despite Vanguard's ups and downs, this showcases that Treyarch can make something out of nothing, because keep in mind, there were supposed to be no round-based maps in Vanguard, and Treyarch had to rebuild and recreate round-based from the ground up on this new engine that they've barely worked with. And seeing that this is their first attempt at round-based on this new engine, and this is going to be the engine moving forward, I like our chances of getting good zombies maps in the future from Treyarch. And pair that with how good the boss fight was from the Archon, and I think we might have some pretty good maps in the future when it comes to the Dark Ether story. Shi No Numa is a classic round-based map remastered for Vanguard Zombies with its own Dark Ether twist. And those are the reasons as to why Shi No Numa comes in at the #1 spot on my list as the best map in Vanguard Zombies. Anyways guys, that is it for today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed. What do you guys think about my ranking all of the Vanguard Zombies maps from worst to best? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Anyways guys, that's it for today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you're a brand new viewer. Also, don't forget to check out all the links down below in the description so you stay up to date with everything that I do. And with that said, have a fantastic rest of your day or night, depending on where you are in this crazy world, and I'll see you guys next time.